Look around you. Everyone you know is chasing the next shiny object, the new phone, the faster car, the bigger house. They call it living their best life. I call it financial suicide. In The Wealth Discipline, I'm going to show you why the richest people on earth don't buy things. They buy freedom. And how you can start today, with whatever you have, to build wealth while everyone else throws their money away. The average person will spend over $1 million in their lifetime on things that lose value the second they buy them. The wealthy? They spend that same money on things that make them more money. This isn't about deprivation. This is about direction. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Quiet Bleeding. There is a sound your money makes when it leaves you. Most people never learn to hear it. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is the soft tap of a card on a reader, the gentle ping of a confirmation email, the thoughtless swipe at a checkout screen you have seen 1,000 times. You do not feel it leaving. That is the design. That is the entire point. Years ago, money had weight. You held it. You counted it. You handed it over and watched it disappear from your hand into someone else's. There was a small grief in every transaction, a moment of reckoning. That grief protected you. That small ache was your discipline doing its job. Now there is no ache. There is no weight. There is no moment. There is only the smooth, frictionless motion of money leaving you as you scroll, talk, eat, and sleep. Stop for a second. Think about this. When was the last time spending money actually felt like spending money? You probably cannot remember. And that is not your fault, but it is your problem. The truth is, you are not living above your means. You are living inside a system designed to make every means feel insufficient. Whatever you earn, the system expands to consume it. A raise comes in, and within 90 days, it's gone. Not into investments, not into security, into upgrades you cannot point to, into experiences you cannot remember, into a slightly nicer version of a life you are already living. You tell yourself you deserve it. You worked hard. You are not asking for much. And every one of those small justifications is true. That is what makes the trap so perfect. The trap is built out of reasonable choices, each one defensible, each one small, each one forgettable. But add them up. Add up the takeout you ordered because you were tired, the subscription you forgot you had, the app that quietly renewed, the shipping you paid for because waiting 2 days felt unbearable, the drink that cost more than your hourly wage when you were 20, the shirt you bought to feel like a different person for an afternoon. Now multiply by 12 months, then by 10 years. That is a house. That is freedom. That is the early retirement you assume is for other people. That is the runway you never built because you spent the fuel on flights to nowhere. Pause here. Breathe. Let that settle. You are not bad with money. You are unconscious with money. There is a difference, and the difference is everything. Most people, when they finally look at their statements, feel shame. Shame is useless. Shame keeps you frozen. Shame makes you close the app and order something to feel better. Shame is part of the loop. Shame is the engine the whole machine runs on. What you need is not shame. What you need is sight. Cold, quiet, unflinching sight. The willingness to look at every line and ask one question. Did this purchase make my life better, or did it just make this moment slightly less uncomfortable? Most of what you spend money on is not for your life. It is for your moods. You are not buying products. You are buying small escapes from feelings you have not learned how to sit with. Boredom, loneliness, anxiety, exhaustion, the vague sense that you are falling behind people you have never met. This is where most people stop. They feel the discomfort of the truth, and they look away. They tell themselves they will figure it out later. They promise next month will be different, and next month it never is. You are going to be different, not because you are stronger than them, But because you are about to stop looking away, the bleeding is not random. It has a pattern, it has a psychology, it has a name, and once you can see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. That is the only protection you will ever have. Chapter 2. The lifestyle you did not choose. You did not wake up one morning and decide to live this way. Nobody does. The life you are inside of now was assembled around you, one upgrade at a time, while you were busy being grateful. Think back. 5 years ago, 10 years ago. What did you actually need to feel okay? A smaller apartment, a simpler phone, a car that ran, a meal at home, a weekend with people you liked. You were not unhappy then. You did not feel deprived. You felt like a person living a life. Now look at what you require. The size of the place, the model of the device, the brand of the groceries, the temperature of the coffee, the thread count of the sheets, the number of streaming services running on a television you barely watch. When did all of this become baseline? When did the extras become the essentials? You cannot answer, because it did not happen on any single day. It happened in 1,000 quiet increments, each one too small to notice, each one impossible to walk back. This is lifestyle inflation, and it is the silent thief of every working adult who ever made a little more than they expected. Here is what nobody explained to you. Every dollar you raise your baseline by is a dollar you must keep earning forever. Not just this year, forever. You did not just buy a nicer apartment, you bought a future where you can never go back to the old one without feeling like a failure. You did not just upgrade the car, you upgraded the version of yourself you are now obligated to maintain. The truth is, you are not paying for things, you are paying for an identity you no longer have the option of releasing. Stop. Read that again. The identity you have built is the most expensive purchase of your life. And the cruelest part is that the identity does not remain satisfying. The new normal becomes the boring normal in about 90 days. The thing that thrilled you in spring is invisible to you by autumn. The brain adapts. The pleasure dies. The bill remains. This is called the hedonic treadmill, a simple name for a brutal mechanism. You climb, you arrive, you exhale, you adjust, you climb again. You never get there, because there is no there. There is only the next rung, sold to you by people who profit from your conviction that it will be different. Look around at the people one step above you financially. Are they calm? Are they full? Are they done? Or are they staring up at the people one step above them? You are not chasing wealth. You are chasing a feeling that wealth can never provide, and every dollar spent on the chase is a dollar that could have been spent on the actual thing. Time, quiet, freedom, a morning where nothing is owed. Pause here. Ask yourself something honest. What in your life right now would you genuinely miss if it were gone tomorrow? Not theoretically, actually. Probably not the gadget. Probably not the subscription. Probably not the upgrade you fought for last year. Probably the people, the walks, the food you made yourself, the chair you read in, the afternoon you took off and did nothing. The things that actually hold your life together cost almost nothing. The things that drain you cost everything. And you have somehow been convinced these proportions should be reversed. This is where most people stop. They feel the weight of the realization, and they negotiate with it. They say, yes, but I worked hard for these things. Yes, but I cannot just give it all up. Yes, but my situation is different. Nobody is asking you to give it all up. That is not the point. The point is to see it. To see how much of what you call your life is actually rented from companies who decided who you should be. You do not have to burn it down. You only have to stop adding to it without thinking. The next time something tries to attach itself to your baseline, you are going to ask a question most people never ask. Not, can I afford this? Affordability is the wrong question. Affordability is what got you here. The question is, do I want to be the kind of person who needs this from now on? because that is what you are actually deciding. You are not buying a product, you are voting for a future self, and every vote compounds. Chapter 3. The reward you did not earn. Something happens inside you at the end of a long week. A low hum of depletion, a quiet sense that you are owed something. You sit down, you open the screen, you start looking, not for anything specific, just looking, just browsing, just scrolling. You tell yourself you deserve a little something, after what you put up with, after what you handled, after what you tolerated all week quietly. A little treat, a little win, a little compensation for being the person who keeps it all together. This is the most dangerous thought a working adult can have, and you have it every week. The idea that you deserve to be rewarded for surviving your own life is the engine of nearly every bad financial decision you will ever make. It is not greed, it is not stupidity. It is exhaustion looking for a quick exchange, money for relief, money for a moment of feeling chosen, money for a small, sharp burst of dopamine to remind yourself you are still alive. The truth is, you were never going to relax by buying something. The relaxation lasts about as long as the delivery notification, then it fades, then the depletion returns, then you reach for the screen again. Stop. Notice the pattern. Notice how often you spend money when you are tired, when you are bored, when you are angry, when you are anxious, when you feel small. You are not a consumer. You are a person being consumed. The companies that sell to you are not stupid. They have studied your nervous system more carefully than you have. They know that a stressed brain wants resolution. They know that a lonely brain wants connection. They know that a bored brain wants novelty. And they have built a marketplace where every one of those needs has a product attached to it, available in 2 days or less, payable in 4 small installments you will not feel. You think you are choosing, you are responding. There is a difference, and you have been on the responding side of it for most of your adult life. Pause here. Look at your last 20 purchases. How many of them were planned a week in advance? How many of them existed in your mind before an app, an ad, or a feeling put them there? Probably very few, and that is not a flaw in your character. That is a feature of the environment you live in. But it is still your money, and it is still your life, and nobody is coming to take responsibility for either of them on your behalf. The reward you think you deserve is a trick. Real reward does not come from spending. Real reward comes from looking at your accounts at the end of the month and seeing that you held the line, that you did not flinch, that you did not trade your future for a momentary mood. That feeling, the feeling of having kept your word to yourself, is more powerful than anything in any cart on any screen, and nobody is selling it because it cannot be sold. It can only be built, quietly, privately, one refusal at a time. This is where most people stop. They hear this, and they nod, they agree. And then by Friday night, they are tired again, and the loop starts again. Because awareness without discipline is just expensive entertainment. You have been entertained by your own insights for years. You have read the books, you have watched the videos, you have nodded along to the wisdom, and your statements still look the same. Insight is not change. Insight is only the doorway. Walking through it requires something most people refuse to develop: the willingness to sit with discomfort and not buy your way out of it. The next time the feeling comes, the small reaching feeling, the "I deserve this" feeling, you are going to do something radical. You are going to do nothing. You are going to feel the feeling all the way through without reaching for the screen. You are going to discover that the feeling passes, that it was never going to kill you, that you were never going to need the thing. You will be surprised how short the feeling actually lasts when you stop feeding it. 20 minutes, sometimes less. A whole life of overspending has been built on a feeling that lasts 20 minutes. The reward is not in the purchase. The reward is in the silence after the urge dies. That silence is where wealth begins. That silence is where you begin. Chapter 4. The story you keep buying. Every purchase you make is a sentence in a story you are telling yourself about who you are. You do not see it that way. You think you are buying a product, a service, a meal, a piece of clothing. You are not. You are buying a line of dialogue in the ongoing narrative of your identity. The successful person buys this watch. The thoughtful parent buys this brand. The person who has arrived buys this car. The person who is going somewhere buys this gym membership. The healthy person buys this supplement. The sophisticated person drinks this wine. You do not buy things, you buy proofs. You buy small daily evidence that you are who you say you are. The truth is, the more uncertain you are about your identity, the more proof you have to keep buying. People who are quietly sure of themselves spend almost no money on proving who they are. People who are quietly unsure of themselves spend almost all of their money on it. Pause for a second. Look at your last big purchase, not the necessary one, the one that felt a little extra, the one you justified with the words, "I deserve," "I need," or "it will help me." Now ask yourself honestly, who were you trying to convince, and of what? You will not like the answer. You do not have to say it out loud. You only have to see it. This is the engine of consumer culture. Not greed, not stupidity, insecurity, repackaged as taste, insecurity, repackaged as success, insecurity, repackaged as self-care. The whole machine runs on the small daily ache of not feeling like enough, and the smaller daily relief of trying to buy your way into enough. It never works. It cannot work. Because the moment you arrive, the goalpost moves. The brand you bought becomes the brand everyone has. The car you upgraded to becomes the car your coworker just got. The neighborhood you moved into is now the one where you are the poorest person. The story requires a new sentence. The story always requires a new sentence. You have been writing a book in installments, but it has no ending. It only has chapters, and every chapter costs money. Stop here. Take a breath. Ask yourself this. If nobody could see what you owned, what would you actually want? That question, asked honestly, will dismantle half of what you have purchased in the last decade, because most of what you bought for the version of you that exists in other people's eyes, not the version that exists in your own life, not the version that wakes up alone in the dark and has to live with the choices. The quietly wealthy understand this in their bones. They do not signal, they do not perform, they do not need their possessions to make arguments on their behalf. Their bank accounts make the arguments silently. Their freedom makes the arguments silently. Their time makes the arguments silently. They do not need the watch to tell the world they are doing well, because they are. This is where most people stop. They hear this and say, "But I like nice things," as if the question were about niceness. The question was never about niceness. The question was about who is making the choice. Are you choosing the thing because it serves your actual life, or are you choosing it because a story you absorbed years ago told you that this is what people like you are supposed to want? You can have nice things. That is not the issue. The issue is whether the nice things have you. There is a test for this, a simple one. Imagine that the version of you 10 years from now could see this purchase. Would that version smile because you bought something useful, lasting, and aligned with your real life? Or would that version wince because you bought something to soothe a wound you eventually learned to heal better? Most of what you buy will not survive that test. Most of what you buy is purchased by a younger, more anxious version of you and paid for by an older, more tired version of you. The two of them never meet. They only trade. You are going to start writing a different story, not a story about who you are pretending to be, a story about who you actually are when nobody is watching. That story is cheaper to maintain. That story is more honest, and that story, told with discipline over enough years, becomes wealth. Chapter 5. The friends you pay for. There is a particular kind of expense that almost nobody talks about honestly. The expense of belonging, the cost of being included, the price of staying inside a group. You do not think of it as spending. You think of it as living. You think of it as friendship. You think of it as the natural cost of having a social life. And in a way, it is. But in another way, it is the most invisible drain on your finances, because it disguises itself as love. The dinner that costs 3 times as much as you would have spent at home. The trip you could not really afford, but went on because everyone was going. The bottle service that was split unevenly. The wedding you flew across the country for. The gift you bought because it would have been awkward not to. The birthday brunch where you ordered the cheapest thing and still paid $60 after the split. You do not regret these moments. You should not regret these moments. The people matter. The connection matters. The memories matter. But somewhere along the way, the price of belonging stopped being a choice and started being an assumption, and nobody around the table ever questions the assumption. Because if you question it, you become the awkward one, the cheap one, the one who is not really in. The truth is, you have been spending money for years to avoid a single uncomfortable conversation. The conversation that says, "I would love to see you, but not at that restaurant." The conversation that says, "I cannot do that trip this year." The conversation that says, "I love you, and I have other priorities right now." And both of those things can be true. Stop. Be honest with yourself. How much of your spending is fear of disappointing people who would not even notice if you saved the money instead? You have been buying belonging. You have been paying entrance fees to your own friendships. And the worst part is, the people charging you the most are often the ones who would still be there if you stopped paying. The friends who actually care about you do not need you to perform financially. They will meet you on a walk. They will come to your house. They will eat a meal you cooked. They will sit on the floor, talk for 4 hours, and remember it forever. Real connection is almost free. It always has been. The connections that require constant spending are not connections. They are memberships. And memberships expire the moment you stop paying dues. Pause here. Think about your last expensive social outing. Not the people. The cost. Was the cost for serving the connection or for replacing the connection? Did you bond over the meal, or did you bond because of the meal? There is a difference, and you can feel it if you let yourself. The quietly wealthy have learnt something the rest of the world has not. They have learned to say no to most of it. They miss the trip. They skip the dinner. They send a thoughtful gift instead of attending the gala. And they discover something liberating. The people who matter understand. The people who do not understand were never really there for them anyway. You have been outsourcing your sense of belonging to your wallet. Every dollar you spend trying to be included is a dollar that could have been building you a life independent enough that being excluded from someone else's plans would not even register as a loss. This is where most people stop. They hear this, and they get defensive. They say, "You do not understand my friend group. You do not understand my family. You do not understand my industry." And maybe none of that is fully understood. But the question still stands. How much of your financial future are you willing to trade for a seat at tables that may not still be set in 5 years? The hardest part of financial discipline is not refusing the latte. It is refusing the dinner. It is sitting out the weekend trip. It is being the one who says, "This year I am building something, and I am going to be quieter than usual." Some people will not understand. Some people will drift. Let them. The people who stay through your quiet season are the people whose names belong in your real life. Wealth is not just money. Wealth is the capacity to choose your company without your bank account being the deciding factor. And you cannot build that wealth if every weekend is a small bleed in the name of fitting in. You are about to enter a quieter season, a more deliberate one. The noise of the social calendar is going to dim, not because you do not love your people, but because you are finally going to start loving your future as much as your present. Chapter 6. The pause before the purchase. Something is going to start happening to you now. A small thing, a boring thing, a thing that does not look like discipline from the outside, but is the entire architecture of it on the inside. You are going to start pausing, not for an hour, not for a day, just for a breath, between the wanting and the buying, between the click and the confirmation, between the impulse and the action, a single, deliberate breath, where, for years, there has been nothing at all. That breath is where your wealth will come from, not from a side hustle, not from a stock pick, not from a budgeting app, from a breath, a small, almost invisible refusal to be moved by the first thing your brain reaches for. The truth is, every purchase you have ever regretted happened in the space where this breath should have been. Every purchase that built you up happened because the breath was there. Stop. Notice how fast you usually move. You see, you want, you reach, you tap, you own. The whole sequence takes seconds. The companies have spent billions of dollars compressing that sequence as tightly as they can. One-click ordering, saved payment methods, biometric checkout. They have removed every speed bump between your impulse and your money, because they know that the only thing standing between them and your wallet is the time it takes you to think. You are going to put the time back, by hand, on purpose, without apology. Here is the rule. For any purchase above a number you choose, and you should choose it low, lower than you think, you wait. 24 hours for small things, 72 hours for medium things, 30 days for big things. You do not buy. You do not delete the tab. You let it sit. You let yourself sit with the wanting. What happens in that pause is the most underrated experience in modern adult life. The wanting fades, not always, but often, surprisingly often, embarrassingly often. You will go back at the end of the waiting period, and you will not even understand why you wanted the thing. You will close the tab. You will move on. The money will still be there. The life will continue. The thing was never the answer to anything. Pause here. Sit with the simplicity of that. A pause. That is the whole technique. You have been searching for years for some advanced strategy, and the strategy was a pause. But do not mistake simple for easy. The pause is brutally hard at first. Your nervous system has been trained against it. Every notification, every algorithm, every checkout flow has conspired to make stillness feel unnatural. When you first start pausing, you will feel restless. You will feel anxious. You will feel like you are missing out on something. You are not missing out on anything. You are missing the chemistry of wanting, which is not the same thing. The discipline is not in avoiding the want. The discipline is in not acting on it immediately. You can want and not buy. That is the entire game. The whole machinery of consumer culture is built on collapsing those two states into one. Want equals buy. See equals own. Feel equals fix. You are going to separate them again. Want is a feeling. Buying is a choice. They are not the same thing. They have never been the same thing. You have just been living in a system that profits from you believing they are. This is where most people stop. They try the pause for a week. They feel the discomfort. They go back to the old way. They tell themselves it does not work for them. They were not built for delayed gratification. They are different. You are not different. Nobody is different. Everyone feels the discomfort. The ones who build wealth feel it and stay still anyway. The ones who do not reach for the screen. There is a second piece to the pause, and it is just as important. After the waiting period, if you still want the thing, you ask one question. Not, can I afford it? You ask, what is the real price? The real price is never the sticker. The real price includes the time you spent earning the money to buy it, the space it will take in your home, the maintenance it will require, the mental load of owning it, the disposal cost when you are done, the opportunity cost of the money not being invested, the slow drag of one more thing in a life that already has too many things. Most things, when priced honestly, are not worth it. Not because they are bad, because you are already full. You do not need more. You need less, more deliberately chosen. The pause is how you find out which is which. Chapter 7. The money that works at night. There is a kind of person who sleeps differently from you, not because their bed is better, not because their problems are smaller, because something inside their financial life is working while they rest. Their money has a job. Their money has somewhere to be. Their money is not sitting in a checking account waiting to be spent. Their money is out, quietly, doing work on their behalf in markets, businesses, instruments, and accounts that compound while they sleep. You have been working hard for your money, your whole adult life. It has not been working hard for you. You have been the only one in the relationship putting in any effort. The truth is, the people who build real wealth do not earn dramatically more than you. Some of them earn less than you. They have simply, at some point, decided that every dollar they keep is a small employee, and they are going to put that employee to work. You spend dollars. They hire dollars. That is the entire difference at the start. Stop. Sit with this. Every dollar you have ever spent on something that lost its value the moment you owned it is a dollar you fired before it could work for you. Every dollar you saved and parked in a high-yield account, an index fund, a retirement vehicle, a business that produces income, is a dollar you employed for the rest of your life. Employees compound. The ones you hire today are still working for you in 10 years. They are also recruiting new employees on your behalf, in the form of interest, dividends, growth. By the time you are old enough to need them, the workforce you assembled in your 30s is enormous, or it is non-existent, because you spent them all on dinners you cannot remember. This is not about being a financial expert. You do not need to study markets for 20 years. You do not need to find the next big stock. You do not need to be sophisticated. You need to be consistent. The math of compounding does not require genius. It requires time and stillness. The two things modern life is designed to take from you. Pause here. Ask yourself something honest. If your income stopped tomorrow, how long would your life continue at its current pace? 3 months? 1 month? 2 weeks? That number is the actual measurement of your financial freedom. Not your salary, not your title, not the brand of your car, the runway. The runway is everything. Most people, even high earners, have almost no runway. They have a lifestyle. A lifestyle is not freedom. A lifestyle is a treadmill that requires continuous effort to keep from falling off. The day you stop running is the day everything you built reveals itself as rented. The quietly wealthy build runway before lifestyle. They build it stubbornly. They build it boringly. They build it long before anyone in their life realizes they are building anything at all. And then one day, the runway is long enough for them to choose. Choose what work they do. Choose who they spend time with. Choose when they sleep. Choose when they say no. That is what money is actually for. Not stuff, not status. Choice. Money is purchased choice. Every dollar you spend on something that depreciates is a dollar of choice you traded away. Every dollar you invest is a choice you've made for your future self. This is where most people stop. They hear this and say, I will start investing once I make more money, once I pay off this thing, once life calms down. Life does not calm down. The amount you make rises, and so does the amount you spend. The gap between them stays the same, or worse, gets smaller as your tastes get more expensive. The time to start is not when you have more. The time to start is when the amount is small enough to feel ridiculous. $20, $50. The amount is not the point. The act of beginning is the point. You are not investing money. You are training yourself to be the kind of person who sends money out to work rather than to spend. The habit is the asset, not the dollar amount. Once that habit is built, every raise, every windfall, every unexpected bit of money has somewhere to go that is not the mall, not the car lot, not the upgraded apartment. It has a destination, a team to join, a job to do. Your money is going to start showing up to work, even when you do not, especially when you do not. That is the entire game. That is the quiet, boring, devastatingly powerful game that almost nobody plays, and that the few who do play it always win. Chapter 8. The discipline that looks like nothing. Discipline does not look the way you think it looks. It does not look like a person yelling at themselves in a mirror. It does not look like grand gestures and dramatic sacrifices. It does not look like anything, most of the time. That is the secret. That is why almost nobody recognizes it when they see it. Discipline looks like a person who did not order the takeout, who did not click the ad, who did not upgrade the phone, who did not go to the dinner they did not want to go to. It is a non-event. It is the absence of an action. It cannot be photographed. It cannot be posted. It cannot be praised because nobody is around to notice it. That is why it works, and that is why almost nobody does it. The truth is, you have been waiting your whole life for discipline to feel powerful, to feel like something, to feel like progress. It is not going to. Discipline is the quietest experience you will ever have. It is the feeling of nothing happening while everything is being built underneath. Stop. Notice how this contradicts everything you have been sold. You were told that change should feel exciting, that building something should feel motivating, that you should be inspired daily. None of that is true at the level where real change happens. At the level where real change happens, you feel almost nothing. You sit, you wait. You do not act on the impulse. You do not respond to the notification. You do not buy the thing. You do not say yes to the plan. You stay still while the world rushes around you. And one day, you look up and your life has reorganized itself around your stillness. The discipline you need is not loud. It is not motivational. It is not powered by quotes, playlists, or morning routines. It is powered by one quiet skill, the ability to do the boring thing repeatedly when no one is watching and there is no immediate reward. You will not be celebrated for this. Your friends will not throw you a party for not buying the new car. Your family will not write you a card for paying off the debt. The discipline will live entirely inside you, witnessed by no one, rewarded by no one, sustained by no one but you. That is the price. That is the full price. You either pay it or you do not. Pause here, sit with that. Most people cannot do anything without being witnessed. They need the audience to feel real. They need the applause to feel valid. If you remove the audience, the behavior stops. That is why their lives are so loud and their bank accounts are so quiet. You are going to invert the equation. Your life is going to get quieter. Your accounts are going to get louder. Not louder to other people, louder to you. A growing number on a screen that nobody else gets to see, comment on, or celebrate. Just you. Just the slow, private accumulation of evidence that you kept your word to yourself. That is the only audience that has ever mattered. The discipline of wealth building is not financial. It is psychological. It is the willingness to be misunderstood, to be seen as boring, to be seen as cheap, to be seen as not fun, to watch other people get attention for spending, to feel a small twist in your chest, and to do nothing about it. You are going to be the friend who passes on the trip. You are going to be the colleague who drives the older car. You are going to be the relative who does not upgrade the house. You are going to be the person at the table who orders water while everyone else orders the second round, and some of them will think less of you for it. Let them. The truth is, Almost everyone who looks like they have it all together is one paycheck away from collapse. The performance you are watching is being financed by debt, anxiety, and the silent prayer that nothing goes wrong this month. You are not envying their wealth. You are envying their willingness to fake it. You are not going to fake it. You are going to build it, quietly, boringly, without permission. This is where most people stop. They cannot bear to be invisible. They cannot bear to opt out of the show. They confuse the spotlight with the prize, and they spend everything trying to stay inside it. You are going to step out of the spotlight. You are going to enter the silence. You are going to discover that the silence is not empty. The silence is where the building happens. The silence is where you finally hear yourself again, under all the noise you were paying to surround yourself with. Discipline, in the end, is a form of self-respect. It is the ability to look at the part of you that wants the cheap thrill and say, "Not today," not because the cheap thrill is evil, because you are worth more than a cheap thrill, and you have started acting like it. Chapter 9. The person you are becoming. Somewhere in the last few weeks, if you have been doing any of this honestly, something has started to shift. You may not have a name for it yet. You may not even fully trust it, but it is there, a slowness, a clarity, a small space between you and the next impulse, a faint sense that you are not the same person who started reading this. That sense is real. Hold on to it. Most people feel it once and let it slip away, because they cannot believe it is theirs. You are going to let yourself believe it. The truth is, you are not on a financial path. You are on an identity path. The money was never the point. The money was the symptom. The real question was always who you were going to be in a world that wanted to dictate every answer for you. The money simply happens to be the most measurable place where that question gets answered every single day. Stop. Look at how you spent today. Look at how you spent yesterday. There, in those small choices, is the actual person you are becoming. Not the person on your social media. Not the person in your job title. Not the person you describe to strangers at parties. The person revealed in the line items. The person revealed in the pauses. The person revealed in the no. You are starting to look more like someone you respect. You did not announce it. You did not declare it. You just started behaving differently when no one was looking. And behavior, repeated long enough, is no longer behavior. It is character. Character does not feel dramatic from the inside. It feels boring. It feels obvious. It feels like, of course, I did not buy that. Why would I have? The shift in identity is so smooth that you can miss it entirely. You may only notice it later, when an old friend assumes you will say yes to something and you do not, and they look at you with mild confusion, and you realize you have stopped being the person they remembered. That is the moment you know, not when the bank account grows, when the reflex changes. Pause here. Think about who you were a year ago, 5 years ago. Would that version of you recognize the choices you are making now? Would that version be proud or threatened? Probably both. Growth tends to feel like betrayal at first, even to yourself. You are going to have to let that older version of you go, not violently, not with shame, just gently. The version of you that needed the reward at the end of every week. The version that flinched when the credit card statement arrived. The version that bought belongings by the round. That version got you here. That version is not the one who is taking you forward. The new version moves more slowly, speaks more carefully, says no without explaining, says yes only when it is a real yes, owns less, notices more, sleeps better. The new version is not richer yet, not in numbers, but the new version is already free in a way the old one could never have imagined, because freedom does not begin when you reach a threshold. Freedom begins the moment you stop being controlled by impulses you once mistook for needs. You are free right now, not financially, behaviorally, and behavioral freedom always precedes financial freedom. It cannot be the other way around. people who get money before they get the behavior lose the money. People who get the behavior before they get the money keep the money when it finally arrives. This is where most people stop. They feel the shift, and they wait for the world to confirm it. They wait for someone to notice. They wait for some external sign that they are different now. The sign never comes. The world does not announce these things. The world keeps moving. The only place the shift gets witnessed is inside you. You do not need anyone to confirm it. You are the only one who can know. And you do know. You just have to stop waiting for permission to be proud of it. There is a quiet you have never had access to before. The quiet of a person whose life is no longer being run by their cravings. The quiet of a person who has separated wanting from buying, belonging from spending, identity from possession. That quiet is not a feature of money. That quiet is a feature of you. It is yours to keep, regardless of what your accounts ever show. But here is the secret. That quiet is also the exact condition under which money tends to gather. Money is uncomfortable around chaos. Money slips through the fingers of people who are reaching for everything. Money settles, slowly, in the hands of people who are not desperate for it. The calm is not a side effect of wealth. The calm is the soil in which wealth grows. You are tending the soil now. You may not see the harvest yet. The harvest does not announce itself early, but the soil is changing, and you can feel it. And the next chapter of your life is going to be different, not because circumstances changed, but because you did. Chapter 10. The life that was always waiting. There is a life that has been waiting for you. Not the life you have been promised by ads. Not the life you have been measured against by people who do not know you. The life underneath all of that. The one that was yours before you started shopping for an identity. You will not find it by acquiring anything. You will find it by releasing what was never yours to begin with. The wanting you absorbed, the comparisons you inherited, the standards you never agreed to. The script you were handed and have been performing for so long that you forgot it was a script. This life is quieter than the one you have been chasing. It owns less. It owes less. It explains less. It is also, for the first time in a long time, actually yours. The truth is, you do not need very much to be free. The number is smaller than the culture told you. The lifestyle is plainer than the magazines showed you. The required possessions are fewer than the algorithm suggested. The actual life that holds together a human being is shockingly modest. A roof, food, people you love, work that uses you well, time that belongs to you, rest, movement, light, a few good objects that earn their place through daily use. That is most of it. Almost everything else is decoration, and the decoration has been costing you your life. Stop. Picture the version of you that exists 10 years from now, not the version you are scared of becoming, the version you would actually be proud to meet. What does that person own? Probably less than you do. What does that person owe? Probably nothing. What does that person spend their day thinking about? Probably not the next purchase. That person is not a fantasy. That person is a series of decisions, made one at a time, starting from where you are sitting right now. You do not have to overhaul your life this weekend. You do not have to make a spreadsheet. You do not have to announce your new philosophy on the internet. You only have to make the next choice with more awareness than the last one, and then the one after that, and then the one after that. That is the whole method. There is no other method. People who tell you there is a faster way are selling you something, and that thing is the reason you are tired. Pause here. Let this land. The shift you have been waiting for is not coming from outside you. It is not a windfall. It is not a lottery. It is not a sudden change in income. It is the slow, deliberate work of becoming someone who no longer needs to be sold to. Someone who is harder to manipulate. Someone who sees the pull and does not move. That person is wealthy long before the bank account confirms it, and the bank account always, eventually confirms it. You are going to be okay. Not because the world is going to get easier. The world is going to get louder. The screens are going to get smarter. The temptations are going to get more personalized. The pull will get stronger every year of your life. You are going to be okay because you are getting stronger, faster than the pull is. That is the only contest that has ever mattered. Look at where you started. You were bleeding out through 100 small cuts and calling it living. You did not know the cuts were happening. You thought the exhaustion was just life. You thought the emptiness after every purchase was just the way things were. You did not know there was another way. Now you know, and you cannot unknow it. That is the only permanent change there is. Awareness does not undo itself. Once you can see the machine, you can never quite be a part of it the way you were before. You will slip sometimes. You will spend impulsively. You will fall back into old patterns. None of that erases what you have seen. The seeing is permanent. The seeing is the asset. The quietly wealthy are not a different species. They are not smarter than you. They are not luckier than you. They are people who, at some point, got quiet enough to see clearly and then refused to look away. That is the entire qualification. You meet it the moment you decide to. This is where most people stop. They reach the end of a piece like this and they go back to their lives unchanged. They confuse listening with doing. They take the relief of having heard the truth as a substitute for living the truth. Do not be them. You did not come this far to be them. Close the screen in a moment. Go look at one specific thing: your bank account, your last 20 purchases, your subscriptions, your closet, anything. Look with the eyes you have now, not the eyes you had before. Notice what is suddenly visible. Notice what no longer fits. Then do one small thing differently today. Cancel one thing. Refuse one thing. Move one amount of money from where it was going to where it should have been going all along. One small act. That is your first vote for the person you are becoming. And every vote compounds. You did not need more money. You needed more silence. You did not need more income. You needed more intention. You did not need more things. You needed more of yourself back. And that, finally, is what you have started to take. You did not start broke. You started distracted. The money was never the problem. The noise was. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a return to ownership. You do not have to be loud about any of this. The quiet ones win. Every purchase is a small vote for a future self. Vote carefully. You cannot buy your way into a life. You can only build one. The reward you were chasing was never going to arrive. It was a hook. You can want something and not buy it. That is the whole skill. Most people will not understand what you are doing. That is fine. They are not the audience. Your bank account is keeping score in a game nobody else can see. The friends who require your spending were never really yours. Lifestyle inflation is a slow leak in a life you thought was full. Money is not for stuff. Money is for choice. Freedom does not announce itself. It accumulates. You are not behind. You are early. You just started seeing. The truth is, you already know what to do. You have been waiting for permission to do it. This is the permission. Take it and go quiet.